Benjamin says hello.
This is the second video?
Yeah. Sorry, I had to start it some way.
I thought you meant we were gonna do it on another day, not
No.
the same day.
Same day, we're talking about my cat now.
God. I'm gonna fucking cry now.
Okay, now we're talking about June. So,
God.
I had a cat. She was about 10. She was a very black and wild kitty. She liked to walk in front of you. She just wanted to walk in front of you, and she had a bell, so you would hear her as she was walking in front of you. You know,
Jingle, jingle.
ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, just like right in front of you. And my dad was always like, "Damn it, Portia!"
That's why it was extra cute. The jingle.
It was around the time that I moved back into my parents' place, and I had just bought things to paint with. So I was in the other room and I'm painting stuff, and my dad calls for me, and I'm like, "What?" Because I'm in the dining room, he's in the living room. It's literally right behind, but there's like a wall. And he was like, "Something's wrong with Portia." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like she's dragging her back legs. Now that wouldn't be so unusual, because we thought she was having like some kind of seizures or something, or some kind of like freezing up motion that like messed with her body. So we thought that, okay, this is normal, you know. It's another episode. So I go into the room and I see what he's talking about. This is not part of an episode. I knew right away, as soon as I looked at her, this is not part of an episode, because she was literally dragging her back legs. Like they were full on straight, and she's just trying to walk. I pick her up and I go into the other room. My mom is laying on the couch with my nephew. I'm like, "Something's wrong with Portia." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm like, "She's dragging her back legs." So she told me to set her down so she could see, because she also thought it was one of those episodes. So I set her down and she drags her back legs again. But this time when I pick her up, she makes like a meow noise that I've never heard, like she's in pain. So I told my mom, I said, "We need to take her to the vet. We need to take her there now. Like something's majorly wrong, like she needs to be checked out." My mom was like, "Well, I can't right now because I have to watch Franklin, but see if your dad will take you." So I walk into the room and he's already getting up. He was like, "All right, let's go ahead and go." We stick her in her kennel, and usually she would fight us, but obviously she doesn't have the leg power to do so.
I should not be laughing.
I mean, I laughed a little bit, honestly, because it was just like, I literally made a comment saying, "You can't fight me." I was looking around there, I'm like, "You can't fight me."
Maybe that's what I was thinking, because I'm just like, why am I laughing at this right now? This is fucked.
I stick her in the car, and she's instantly meowing. You know how she does. She hates going to the vet. And I was like, "You know, you're going to be fine, Portia. They're going to find out what's going wrong with you, and you're going to be just fine." So we go, and once we get there, my dad takes her in, and then they take her into the back. Then they finally got us into a room. During this time, I think my mom was calling Alan or something, which is my sister's boyfriend, to come and watch Franklin while she come here. And she wasn't on her way yet, but they pull us into the room. We wait for a little bit, and the vet comes in, and she starts talking to us, saying that she has a blood clot. It's right above where her hips are, so it's affecting her back legs and tail. They're both ice cold. She was like, "You can do a treatment, but it's not guaranteed gonna work. It costs over $10,000. And it's just gonna move the clot. It's gonna move it to somewhere else. It can move it into her lungs, it can move it into her heart, it can move it into her brain. But this is like months and months of work." And she was like, "Or you can put her to sleep." And I was just like, fuck. Like, I was like, fuck, I can't. And I was just like, I looked at my dad, and he's just like, "There's no other options. Those are the only two options." And she's like, "Yeah, those are the only two options." And I start sobbing, because I know this is on me. I have to make the whole decision, because she's my cat. And at that moment, my mom, she appears at the window. Just such a, like a boom right there. And I was like, "Can you explain to her what's going on? Because I'm not going to explain it. My dad's not going to know how to explain it." And they start explaining it to my mom, and she's trying to read our faces, but obviously I'm already sobbing.
Yeah.
So it's not very hard to realize what's going on. And the lady was telling her about it. And my mom was like, "There's no other options? There's nothing we can do?" And she's like, "No, there is nothing else that you can do." So the lady leaves, and my mom was trying to bargain with my dad, which is every step of grieving, bargaining. You know, trying to figure out any way possible, being like, well, we can pull out a loan, we can do this, you know. And I'm like, Mom, what is the point? Like, what is the point? Because at this point I was mad but also upset. And I was like, there is no point to pay $10,000 and literally not to keep her that long. She's literally going to be in a pet hospital. She won't be able to be a cat. She's just going to be sitting in a kennel or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Hooked up to stuff and probably sedated.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Like, that's not living.
That's not what a cat is supposed to be doing. A cat is supposed to be running around, swapping at the other cats. She'd wait for Dessa to come down the hallway and she'd be like, with her paws. Like, what are you? Stop it! And I was like, I need to go out and make a phone call. And I stepped outside and I called James. He was on a side that he could actually make a phone call.
Right.
So I'm talking with him and I tell him exactly what's going on. And I told him what the options were. And I was like, is it wrong for me to feel like the only option is to put her down? And he said, no, that is not a wrong option. You're thinking about her and about her being in pain, because that's one thing I forgot to mention, is that the vet said that she was in pain and asked if they could give her a shot of something to help her with the pain. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to have to make this decision. You know, it's not fair. My mom said I have to make this decision, and it's like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, well, I think you know what to do. You know what you got to do for her. And right at that moment, my mom was like, she came outside and she's like, so what are we doing? We got to put her down. There's no other option.
Yeah, it's either that or she's suffering and you're just prolonging the suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
And like the vet said, it's just going to move somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be a lot worse if it were in her heart, her lungs, or her brain.
Exactly. So my mom was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and call your sister. And then she asked if James could get off work early. And he said, I'll try. No guarantees because I'm by myself. So my mom calls my sister, and I think that's when they called Alan. I don't remember when they called Alan. I remember at some point they called Alan. Oh, my sister got home, but then when my mom came to meet us, she called Alan to go meet her, to take my nephew to watch him and have her come. So we're still in this other exam room, and we're all just kind of like standing there, you know, we're silent. My mom's trying everything possible, just being like, well, you know, we could do this, we could do that, you know, we could prolong our life. And I'm just like,
you got a lot more patience than I do when it comes to something like that, because when I go through something like that, I literally flip and snap. Like, no talkie to me while I'm grieving or going through shit. No.
And my dad was even on my side. He was just like, there's literally nothing we can do.
Yeah.
This is the only option for her. So right when my sister came in, you know, she's wearing her sunglasses. It was sunny. It was June. So she came in wearing her sunglasses, and she had them on the entire time. And my mom's talking to her, you know, talking about what happened and what's going to happen. And just right then, you can see like her lips start quivering. And it hit her the most because during my sister's entire pregnancy, Portia was like right there.
Yeah.
With
She
her
was
the entire
literally
time.
that support.
Yeah, and then after she had her son,
Portia still clung on to her.
Portia came in every time he would cry.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, that's how my cats used to be with Sam and Elijah when we had them.
So she starts crying. One of the ladies came in. She's like, hey, we're going to move you guys to a different room. And it's just, as soon as I walked in, I was criticizing the room as soon as I walked in. Because it's dimly lit, there's all this stuff about goodbyes and stuff, and I'm like...
This is just depressing all in itself.
I'm like, this is in poor taste. Like, I know they're trying to make it easy on everybody who has to put their animals down, but this is literally in poor taste. This is so wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
And
all that would, like, who knows what would go off in my brain if I saw a room like that.
and I was just like...
I'd probably just lose my shit and walk out.
So we all just kind of like sat down. We're just like looking around in the room, and I'm reading every sign out loud because I don't know what to do at this point.
Right.
You know, I'm so awkward because I've literally made this decision, and I feel like the only person who's backing me up is my dad. And we're just kind of like sitting there, and my mom was like, you know,
Still going.
trying to say that, you know, there's stuff that we could do, and just I'm just like, no, there's literally nothing. Like, this is our only option.
Right.
and they bring Portia in, and she has a little pet Ivy and everything like that. They bring her in a blanket, and
Fuck, I missed that cat.
they set her on my lap. And the first thing I notice is that she sounds different.
Like sleepy?
No, like stuffy. She didn't sound like that when we brought her in.
Yeah.
And I said, sounds like she's like, you know, has a cold.
Congested?
Yeah, has a cold. And they're like, it's the blood clot. The blood doesn't have places to go. So it's starting to go in places that it shouldn't.
But it was in her hip.
Yeah, but the blood flow that can't make it to her hip has to go
Gotcha.
somewhere else.
Gotcha. So it was filling up her lungs?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
So we're trying to have our time with her, but all I can think about is just, she's suffering right now. She's suffering right now. Like, she's having a hard time breathing. She's in pain. She started getting more agitated, more violent.
Yeah.
Because she was in pain. She didn't know what was going on. So there's a button right at the top. Like, there was a bookcase right next to me, and there's a button right at the top. And I was like, you know, after mom took a bunch of pictures with her and everything, when they're talking about the button, my mom just looked at me, she's like, I'm not pushing that button. I'm like, okay, so this is up to me too. I gotta push the button to basically kill my cat. So I waited for a long time, and then I put my hand up there, and I'm just kind of like, I'm tapping around the button. And mom was like, are you gonna tap it? And I said, I'm trying to get the courage to do so. Because this is, once this starts, you can't stop the process.
Like,
so I'm just standing there, and I'm just kind of tapping this button, and I'm like, I'm going to be blamed for this. My entire family's going to blame me for this. My sister's going to hold this against me. My mom's going to be mad at me. Like, all this stuff is running through my head. And then I'm just like, I'm just looking at her, and I'm like, she's suffering. And I'm like having this huge war
yeah.
just happening in my head. And I'm just like, I have to do it. Like, I'm putting her needs in front of everybody else.
No, you're putting everyone else's needs before hers.
No, when I finally pushed it, I put her needs first.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know, but I'm talking about like the war inside your head. That's what I was getting at.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not easy.
So I pushed the button, and maybe this is like kind of seeing into the future, because the doctor who came in was about where I am, like 5 months, 6 months pregnant.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So it's kind of like seeing into the future. She comes in and she's like, are you ready? And I'm like, no. Who's ready?
No one's ever ready when
who's
it
ready
comes
for
to
this?
loved one. Like, whether it's a human or a dang animal, I do not care.
And she was like, I kind of need you to be ready. And I'm like, I'm ready. Like, who just is ready? No one's ready.
No.
No one's ready to put down their animal.
Yeah, no. It's like trying to put down a family member, like, out of their misery. Like, no! Like...
Yeah, and it's like, so she hooked up the first thing, and she's like, this is to make sure the catheter is in the right place. And I'm like, okay. So she pushes the liquid through, and just as she's pushing the liquid through, I literally felt like my leg go numb. Like, I don't know why my leg went numb, but my leg just like went numb. Whatever, this is happening. And she's like, and then this first one will put her to sleep. So before she pushes it in,
And for the record, no one's gonna hold it against you, okay? It was either that.
are we stuck on each other?
I can't. I'm trying to. That didn't happen.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You almost ripped my friggin' double gauge, double zeros out. Oh my god.
So before she pumps the first one in, are you good?
I'm good. Are you?
I don't know. I'm hormonal.
You went from crying to almost pulling my gauge out.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so before she pumps the first one in,
You start crying. That gauge will get stuck in your hair again.
I'll just cry in my corner, okay?
No, you're not leaving me here by myself with these people.
My mom asked, the first thing is, are you sure there's nothing that can be done? And the doctor finally simplifies it for her and just goes, no matter what, she's gonna have this blood clot.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be there, it's gonna move. And my mom was like, she just kind of looked at me like, you sure?
Are you serious at that point?
Yeah. Oh, but it gets better because I gotta tell you what she said after. So they pushed the first one through and her head kind of droops. You know, she's asleep. So she was like, okay, this one is the one to stop her heart. So they pushed that through. This entire time, my leg's just numb. I don't know why my leg was so numb, but it was so numb. And I'm just holding her. And I have like my hand, like, you guys can't see my hands because the camera's too high. But I had her in my lap. I held her literally till the very end. So I had my hand like on her chest and I felt it when it stopped. And I knew it stopped. I knew right away. It was done. She wasn't in pain anymore. It's done. But the lady used, you know, the thing and was like, she's gone. Don't think about it. Is that when they pass, your animal will make a noise.
That makes it sound like they're still alive. It's like that last bit of it.
It sounds like they're coughing. And that is terrifying.
Because I would have thought the same flippin' thing.
No, it's not only just that, but they're, this might be, if you don't want to hear this part, skip ahead a few seconds. Her eyes were still open.
Oh my gosh.
Her eyes were open. So I'm trying to,
I would have lost my shit at that point.
I was trying to hold her and mourn, but then she starts coughing, which is the remaining air in her lungs. And I panicked. I got scared. So the lady had left. And my mom was still in the room with me. My dad left. He didn't want to see that. He had to put his dog down a long time ago. So
And it
he
was
swore
too
he would
much.
never see that. And my sister left, I think, right before it happened. So she didn't notice. She didn't know the coughing. And I start panicking. So I start hitting that button. I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore.
Yeah.
She comes in, takes her back, and we just kind of sit there for a minute. It's like, in this stupid room, like, with all these damn goodbye things. And I'm staring at the room and I'm like, I still hate this damn room. That's the first thing I say, is just, I hate this damn room.
I don't blame you.
So then they come back and they have her in a pet coffin. Which literally is just a cardboard box. It's a white box. And the top of it does kind of look like a casket. So they come back. They're like, here you go. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're sorry. You guys probably do this daily, but you're sorry. But then again, that's just the anger in me just kind of coming out. Because it's just bargaining, anger.
Yeah. All signs of grief.
So we go out and my dad's like, all right, we can just go ahead and go. And I'm like, what about paying? He's like, I already did that. I already took care of it. You know, we're just going to go ahead and go. So I put her in the back seat of my car and my mom was like, do you want me to drive? And I said, no, I'm fine to drive. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine to drive. I can literally drive with tears in my eyes. Like, I'm good. So we're driving and I'm like, you know what really, really sucks right now? And she's like, what? I'm like, I told her on the way to the bed, she's gonna be fine. Now I'm taking her back in a box. By the time that we were done and everything, we were going into the backyard, right? I have this box in my hands and my mom's trying to figure out where do we bury her? And she's like, where do you want to bury her? And I turn around, I still have the box in my hand and I'm just like,
You're still trying to process everything that just happened.
I just look at her, I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I'm holding my dead cat right now. I don't know where to put her. I was like, I'm holding this box. And she's in it. So she was like, okay, well, how about over here? I'm like, all right. So we start digging a hole. That hole is my 13th reason. It was such a pain in the ass. The dig. It was so bad. It took us hours and hours and hours. Like, I think by the time we came back, it was after 5 o'clock. By the time that the hole was done, it was 9 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
You have to make it, you literally have to do like, I forgot how much. I think it had to be 24 inches deep.
So 2 feet for a cat.
Yeah. Because you didn't want it to be too close to the surface.
Yeah.
Because animals would get to it. So we're doing that, and then James gives me a call. And he's like, hey, I got off work an hour early. You know, where do you want me to meet you? Like, do you still want me to meet you? And I'm like, please. I'm like, can you help me bury my cat? At this point, I was only with him for how many months?
2?
2 months. I'm like, can you help me bury my cat? He's like, yeah, I'll come right away. So he didn't even stop at home. He was still in his work clothes. And he meets me there. And he takes off his work shirt. And he had a shirt on underneath. Don't get any ideas. Okay, he had a shirt on underneath.
I wasn't saying nothing.
And he comes and he's like, where are you guys digging the hole? Yeah. So he comes over and starts taking over because at that point we've been doing it for like 2 hours. So he takes over, starts digging the hole more. And he got a lot done, like within an hour. He got a lot done. But when we tried to set her in to see if it was wide enough, it wasn't wide enough. It more like the hole went like this.
Oh gosh.
Instead of straight down. So we buried her that night, very emotional. There's not much left except for the comment that my mom made of she almost stopped the lady. She almost said, no, stop, don't do this.
There was no hope for Portia at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That just would have prolonged the suffering. Does your mother not realize that?
She was grief stricken. I was the only one who made the call, who pushed the button, and actually did.
You did the right thing. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but it was better than prolonging the suffering and having that Clyde go to a place that would have made it a lot worse, like her heart, her brain, her lungs, to the point where it would have been so painful that.
Yep. That was back in June. And a couple months later, I found out I was pregnant. How many of you cried with me? Comment down below.
I'm trying really hard for you not to cry.
That'll rip out your gauge.
Almost did.
Alright.
See, this is why I don't give people hugs.
Yeah, because they cause you pain. Ugh.
But yeah, when is the due date for little Ben?
May
May. What day?
13th. Exactly a month before my birthday.
Ah, you're gonna have a little Taurus.
Mm-hmm. He's already a pain, so.
Yep, trust me, by the time you're 37, 38 weeks, you're gonna be like, get out.
I'll be like, you know, you can exit at any time.